And we're here. Yay! Welcome to I'm Not Trying to Kill You. We're here to play The Quiet Year. I'm Ashton. I am the facilitator today. And I am joined by three lovely people who I will get to introduce themselves again so that we can have your audio.
Wow. Have we been muted the whole time?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I thought it was only recent. Yikes.
All right. Emily, do you want to introduce yourself?
I can. Hi, I'm Emily Blackwell, or Blackwell says on Twitter. I'm an artist and a filmmaker. My pronouns are she, hers. I'm keen. Again. Still.
Awesome. Luke, how you going?
Not too bad. I'm Luke, Wildwoods Games on Twitter. I professionally GM for children, and I design games and stream sometimes. They, them pronouns, please.
And Todd, do you want to introduce yourself for us?
Yes, I'm Todd. I stream and am going to be GMing a 5th edition game soon. He, him, and Hawk Oddly on Twitter.
Cool. All right. So the way that we start out with, I love the way that the Quiet Year is structured. I think the way that I love the way that Avery writes text for the text of her games, because she's very specific about what needs to happen, and she's and there is a kind of like warmth and kindness that comes through the text, and is like, here's what we're gonna do, and it's really peaceful, and I like that. So cool. All right. So I'm just going to read through the opening story, and then I'll talk us through the layout of things, and then we'll go on from there. So, for a long time, we were at war with the jackals. Now, finally, we've driven them off, and we're left with this: a year of relative peace. One quiet year with which to build our community up and learn again how to work together. Come winter, the frost shepherds will arrive, and we might not survive the encounter. This is when the game will end, but we don't know that yet. What we know is that right now, in this moment, there is an opportunity to build something. So, we're going to start by familiarizing ourselves with the tools. You should have, in your Roll20 window, a big old blank screen with some words on it, like our names. We've got a little pile of contempt tokens if we want to... if we need to steal those, and we've got lists for abundances, scarcities, and names, and then we've got a nice big drawing area in the middle. So we don't. So our blank space is mostly for drawing. We will be using just like the text tool, the text drawing tool for managing dice. So what I'm going to say is that when we want to use a dice, when we want to put a dice down, we'll use text, and rather than just using the Arial font, we'll use how do people feel about the Candle font? Like, it's nice and bold. Because then the problem is they need to be put on the map. So we'll just put them in as little text boxes. All right, you should be able to pick it up and move those. If we start running out, we'll just copy and paste some more in. Cool, excellent, great. All right, so they're contempt tokens. They represent any tension or frustration that might arise in the community. We'll use as we said, we'll use text boxes for project dice, and that we'll place on the map to note how many weeks it will take for a project to finish. They tick down once every turn, and when a die reaches 0, that project is complete. At the bottom of the screen, we have our summary card. Oh no, sorry, that's a handout. Where's the summary card? Yeah, reference card 0. So that's our summary card. So that tells us what we do each week and in what order. And then I have a little at the bottom. I have a little couple of lists for our abundancy, scarcities, and names. Now we have some decks. I'm going to put them all on screen for the moment, but I'll just keep one on by default. Do you see those appearing on your screens? Cool, excellent. At the bottom of the screen, yeah. Yeah. Cool. So there's summer, spring, winter, and autumn there. I'm just going to hide them again so I don't have too much screen clutter. Each of them represents a season. We're gonna each card in the deck represents a week in that season. So we're gonna go through those and follow the instructions on the cards. In the winter deck, there is a card that is the arrival of the Frost Shepherds. When that card is drawn, the game is over, and the Frost Shepherds come, and what happens next is unknown to us. We all have 2 roles to play in this game. The first is to represent the community at a bird's eye level and care about its fate. And the second is to dispassionately introduce dilemmas as scientists conducting an experiment. The Quiet Year asks us to move in and out of these 2 roles. We don't embody specific characters nor act out scenes. Instead, we represent currents of thought within the community. When we speak or take action, we might be representing a single person or a great many. If we allow ourselves to care about the fate of these people, the Quiet Year becomes a richer experience and serves as a lens for understanding communities in conflict. We'll also be presented with opportunities to introduce new issues for the community to deal with. This will often happen when we draw cards or use the Discover Something New action. By dispassionately introducing dilemmas and then returning to our other role as representatives of the community, we create tension and make the community's successes feel real. If there's an issue you struggle with in real life, whether violence is ever justified, introduce situations that call it into question. So, before the game begins, we're gonna establish some facts about the community and what its surroundings are like. We're gonna talk about like what kind of place is our community in, and what are some of its like the resources that community requires. Does anyone have any thoughts about like what kind of terrain or place that we might like to be like placing our community, whether it's a desert or a mountaintop or a forest? Or I think so. Luke, you suggested the idea of like Japanese mountain ranges as inspiring, and Emily, you were saying that you were keen on it having our community be in like a plateau in that mountain range.
Yeah, like a big plateau where a whole bunch of mountains are sort of joined up. Yeah,
Awesome.
That's my thought.
And then there's like paths, like heaps of paths down to like all kinds of cool and interesting places.
Todd?
But like really high up, yeah.
Yeah.
Todd, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I was thinking almost like Kyoto, where we're in obviously a modern apocalypse, but where we live is still the like traditional Japanese style buildings and stuff.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are there
like
like
down
a
south.
sacred place on top of the mountain plateau.
so is there like are there some like notable ruins?
I think there's probably like a ruined castle.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, yeah. So
Cool.
modern setting, but yeah, living amongst the kind of things of the past.
Cool.
That's really cool.
I'm gonna throw a curveball.
That's very Japanese.
I was wondering if maybe we should have I like the idea of, because in my head when we're talking about these sorts of things, I go to like to Chinese watercolors and things, and I picture like the mountains often rising up out of like mist or water or swamp of some kind. So I like the idea that like below the mountain, below like the steep mountains, there's like lots of swamps. And
God, I am
Who
such
knows
an
what?
animu. I just we're the village
Yeah.
hidden in the mist.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like geothermal hot springs, and the steam is what shrouds the mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's cool.
That's cool.
All right, so we'll try not to get too much further into our geography and things, so that we can leave ourselves space to discover. And what we'll do is we'll talk about our resources. So we each declare an important resource for the community, something with which we might have either in abundance or in scarcity. And like, yeah, we're talking about before the show, we were talking about the fact that these can be kind of abstract if we want to, but it tends to take the game in a kind of strange direction. Whereas if we keep it to like things people require
Physically.
Yeah. Does anyone have any that jump out to them?
Well, I mean, do we want to make this strange or not? I suppose is a question.
That is a question, yeah. Because I've got one if we want to go that direction, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
I've kind of got one in either way. So like,
I'm really fine with if we go strange or not strange. I don't know whether there's I don't know whether there's an idea that if we stick with kind of like physical resources where it's more sensible for playing our first game. I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know if it's like if we go strange, are we playing on hard mode?
Let's choose one. Does anyone have one abstract concept that they want to be in either abundance or scarcity? We don't choose that yet.
Well, the one that I was thinking that was a bit abstract was either like elders or ancestors.
Yeah, because like
I
one
was
of the ones
think-
that I had in my head was actually children, right? But I like that.
Right, yeah.
You know,
I was thinking faith.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I
Oh,
like
okay.
that too.
Here's the thing then, right? Like if we tie those together, we get filial piety.
Yep. Yep.
Right? Like we
Confucian values are
Yeah,
either in abundance or in decline. Yeah.
Yeah. No, sorry, Red. That's Emily's microphone. Occasionally boosts
No,
super
it's
loud
me.
for some reason.
Oh dang! I'm sorry.
It's
Yelling.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, it's auto gain is a bitch. So yeah, we're each picking one. So does anyone want to own Confucian ideals, or filial piety specifically, or shall I?
Yeah,
Own
I'm
that?
happy for that to be. I'm happy for that to be my vote.
Okay, cool.
That's fine.
So the three of us that are left, then we're gonna pick something a bit more. We're gonna pick some more tangible.
I know what I want.
Practical.
What do you want, Todd?
Birds.
Ooh.
Either an abundance
alright.
or yeah, I love it. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna come down here. I'm gonna put them all into abundances, and then only one of them is gonna remain.
Emily, with your mic problems, is this an issue you have outside of Zoom, or is it just a Zoom specific problem?
This is an entirely new problem to me. I didn't know it was a problem at
It
all.
does it sometimes.
All
I
right,
have
all
no
right.
idea.
I might know how to fix it. When I was on Eric's show, I was having the same issue.
Ah, okay.
Let us see if this works. Okay.
All right.
Do you see on the bottom of the screen where it has all the little cool icons, and the leftmost one is mute, and the next to it there is an arrow pointing up?
Hey Ash, by
Yes.
the way, I think you're writing on the GM layer. 'Cause I can't
Hit the arrow to open that menu,
Yep.
and then at the very bottom
There,
under
that's-
Leave Computer Audio is Audio Options.
Okay, cool. Yep.
Hit that, and then in the middle it will have a big red button that says Leave Computer Audio, and then underneath it will say Test Computer Mic and Speakers.
Yep.
Hit that. That'll take you into like the settings,
Yep.
and then look and find your microphone.
Ah,
And underneath there is a setting called Automatically Adjust Microphone. Check if it is on.
it is on.
Turn it off,
Cool.
and
Sweet.
that should
Okay,
fix that.
Great. Ah, that's so great.
You hero.
Ah,
Thank you,
Excellent.
Eric. Yeah.
Yay.
God bless Eric.
Yeah.
He
Eric
is
is
our
great.
patron saint.
Yeah.
I actually played
That's
HOTS with him
fantastic.
yesterday. He's a great guy.
I'm appearing on his show in a couple of days to run a game I wrote, and I'm like,
Awesome.
Are
man,
you
hype.
playing again? Are you going to play it again? Oh my gosh, exciting.
Yeah, we're playing again. I'll drop you a DM on Twitter or something when we're about
Yes,
to go
please.
live.
Yeah,
Yes, please.
awesome.
That'd be good.
Luke, did you have a resource? I'm trying to think of a resource that I want to make.
Yeah, I have kind of like, I have it straddles the line between conceptual and tangible.
Yeah.
I like the idea of something of like a healing medicinal nature, and like I'm into the idea either that's like wild herbs and mushrooms in the forests that I feel that are somewhere, or if that's like some property of the hot springs themselves that they are like medicinal, and that's something we have in abundance. I like medicine of
Yeah.
a slightly spooky nature.
Yeah, I like medicine.
Spooky
That's
medicine.
cool.
Yeah, spooky medicine.
Cool.
Yeah.
Spooky medicine is the best medicine. Spooky is just the best aesthetic. Let's be real.
As someone with their EMT certification, I love medicine.
Excellent.
Alright, and I need one as well. Which is gonna be so tricky. I'm gonna say carpentry.
All right. Yeah.
Yes,
Cool.
yeah.
Like wood carving and that kind of thing.
Like we're up in the mountains
that's
and
a
there
skill.
aren't
Yep.
like either there are lots of like people who know how to work wood or there aren't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Which
Sweet.
is also right, like very, very Japanese.
Cool. Awesome. Next on our list. So we get our starting resources and we choose one of these resources to be in abundance and the others become scarcities. Do we have one that we really want to be the abundance at the start? Because my brain wants birds to be the abundance.
Yeah.
Right. See, whereas I went the other direction. I was like something about the war with the jackals. All the birds are gone.
Oh,
Yeah,
the birds are
right,
gone.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because birds,
Yeah.
a sudden
That's cool too.
lack of birds is spooky. It's spooky.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
How many of each are we supposed to have? Like.
We should have
How many-
four resources currently. So filial piety,
Yeah.
birds,
Yeah.
medicine,
But, like,
and carpentry. And
how
only one
many
will
of
be
those are-
one will be in abundance. The
abundance.
other three will be scarcities.
Right. Okay.
I like the idea of
But we
filial
can
piety
fix that
being
together.
in abundance to start with, and then like it might be a thing that goes away.
Right. Like everyone really respects their elders to begin
and
with.
that's the thing that is at risk then through play.
Yeah. 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 I like that.
All right. Well, I'm seeing a lot of nodding for that one, whereas birds seemed contentious. So
No, I also like no birds. I'm
Yeah.
also a fan of no bird or too many birds.
well, I like the fact
Either
that
of
Yeah,
them.
right. Like birds are at their finest, either in massive
Yeah.
overabundance, like that
Or a
scene in the
murderer.
dark half with like a million sparrows,
Yes.
or
that's- yeah.
none of them ever. Like
Exactly. Yeah. Totally.
Cool. All right.
we know what we're about.
All right. So
Stuck on a huge
Alright.
haunted feeling.
So what we're going to do is we're going to need to draw on our map now. Where are we? I'm just checking a book. So when we introduce each of our details, we needed to sketch it onto the map. So we should do that now. So I think it was Luke that introduced mountains. So if Luke can give us mountains, that would be.
All right, I will do my best.
We're all using a
I know.
mouse and the shitty drawing tools, so it is acceptable.
Yeah,
Yep.
I make no great promise. All right, what color do
I
I,
only have
want
a
the
trackpad.
mountains to be?
Sorry.
Only.
Apologies.
I think in the rule it says no matter how bad you have to draw.
Yeah, no, it is.
Mhm.
Yeah, like literally, and it says don't waste time doing nice pictures.
Yeah, that's true. It does.
Avery is a very practical person.
Yeah. All right, Emily, did you want to add a plateau or plateaus?
Yeah, I'm just trying to work out sort of how, because like, yeah. Oh, here's a question. Do we feel like, is it like there is a range of mountains and amongst those mountains there is a plateau, or is it more like the mountains form a big plateau? Like which of those do we feel?
I almost think it's like a ring of mountains with a plateau in the center.
Ooh,
Yeah, like like a
okay,
base,
I like
a
that.
basin cradled by
Yeah.
mountains.
So we've kind of
But
got a plateau.
no,
there.
no.
We've kind of got a circle of mountains there.
Yeah,
So it's
Yeah.
not even like a crater. It's like there was one big mountain that all of a sudden is now completely level.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Range of mountains.
Mm. And there are places, parts of Japan that do actually have that
Cool.
geography. So
Awesome.
I almost need to like, I've sort of overlapped with the mountains in a weird
That's
way,
right.
but
That's fine.
that's cool. That's a sort of plateau in the center there.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool. Todd, I think you gave us ruins, or the ruined castle.
Yeah.
And adding that in, awesome.
I wonder if we're gonna
The other thing we need people to do is add in little icons of some kind. Remember that you can zoom in if you need to like draw more detailed.
Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering whether we need to zoom in a bit because we might run out of.
Well, this is our
space
big
if
map.
we're-
Whereas now I'm going to get you to each add an icon for your resource. So, Emily, you're going to add
Good, Emily. Good luck.
add some
I know,
add some
right?
kind of visual representation of the abundance of filial piety.
Okay.
I think Todd is going to put in an icon or drawing of a scarcity of birds, and we're going to have something to represent a scarcity of medicine and a scarcity of carpentry.
Okay. I think I'm just gonna make a little kind of like. This is like a figure, and then there are two figures sort of behind them. That's what I'm gonna go with.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I'm gonna add a whole bunch of like cut down trees to be like there were people who could before we fought the jackals. There were people who could
Do
carpentry. Could make wood into things. There
I
were
can't-
wood cutters and things. But
I don't think I have erasing power. Can
if you
someone
click on
please?
a line, you can delete it.
Yep.
With your delete button.
It helps if you sometimes like box it, and then it'll select the line a little easier sometimes.
Aha!
For my icon, I
I did it.
drew empty
Thank you.
nests on the castle.
I saw the empty nests. That was cool. All right, excellent. So we've drawn all our things on the map. Remember when we're playing this game that we're not putting any words onto our map. We are only drawing. So the next section, we're going to just go through the rules. And the intention here is that we pass the book around the table. So I'm going to get people to read out different sections from the handouts. Todd has finished drawing, so Todd, can you read me out section G?
The week. The basic unit of play in the quiet year is the week. Each week is a turn taken by one player, with play proceeding clockwise around the table. Weeks should take an average of 2 to 3 minutes to complete. During each week, the following things happen. The active player draws a card, reads the relevant text aloud, and resolves it. They follow all bold text. Project dice are reduced by 1, and any finished projects are updated. The active player chooses and takes an action, discover something new, hold a discussion, or start a project.
Cool, awesome. Emily, are you still drawing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I cannot be drawing.
Luke, can you please read me section H, drawing cards?
Yes, I can. Alright, as there are 52 cards, there are 52 weeks. We won't necessarily get to play all of them. The Frost Shepherds could arrive at any time during winter. Most cards have 2 options to pick from, separated by an or divider. Pick the option that you find the most interesting and fitting, and read the text aloud. The card might ask you a question, bring bad news, or create new opportunities. Many cards have specific rules attached to them, which are written in bold text. If you drew the card, it's up to you to make the decisions that the card requires. If a card asks you a question, think about whether your answer could be represented on the map somehow. If it fits, update the map to reflect this new information. For example, if the card asks you about the sleeping quarters for the community, you might end up drawing a row of tents near the edge of the forest.
Cool. Emily, do you want to read me working on projects? Section I.
Working on projects. Yep. Cool. Working on projects. Unless your card specifically told you otherwise in bold text, the next step is to reduce each project die on the map by 1. If a project reaches 0, the die gets removed and the project is completed. Whoever started the project gets to tell everyone how it turns out and update the map to reflect its completion. If a project finishes early, because a card says that a project finishes early in bold text, it is instead the responsibility of the active player to tell everyone how it turns out and to update the map. If your card's bold text had you place a project die on the map just a moment ago, that die doesn't reduce during this week. It's now just getting underway. When a project gets completed, it is assumed that it went successfully and is beneficial to the community. In some cases, it might make sense to have an investigative project end with a hope dispelled. Even in these cases, the completion of a project should always feel like a step forward, not backward. This doesn't always mean that the whole community is happy with the results, though.
Cool. I'll read Discover Something New. One of the action types is Discover Something New. Introduce a new situation. It might be a problem, an opportunity, or a bit of both. Draw that situation onto the map. Drawings should be small and simple, smaller than an inch and finished within 30 seconds. Whenever things seem too controlled or easy, we can use this action to introduce new issues and dilemmas. When individual characters get introduced, we'll give them names and record those names on our index card. Some example situations. There's a dried up well located at the edge of town. Mangy wolves have been slinking around the woods. There's a broken down water wheel a mile upstream. Strange wailing noises come from the forest at night. A self-declared prophet arrives. And I'll get Todd to read Hold a Discussion. Which is
Another of the action types is Hold a Discussion. You choose to open with a question or declaration. Starting with you and going clockwise, everyone gets to weigh in once, sharing a single argument comprised of 1 to 2 sentences. If you open with a question, you get to weigh in last. If you open with a declaration, that's it for you. A discussion never results in a decision or a summation of process. Everyone weighs in, and then it's over. This is how conversation works in communities. They are untidy and inconclusive affairs. Each discussion should be tied to a situation on the map. When a discussion ends, mark the situation it is attached to with a small dot. Some example conversations include, should we retaliate against the bikers? Or if leading a declaration, we should abstain from retaliation or violence. Could we use the school bus as a sleeping area for the village children? It is important that we stay concise. If any of us feel like we have more to say on a topic, we can always hold another discussion about it at a later point.
Cool.
I'm gonna be real honest. I just want to say one thing.
Yeah.
Until Luke read the 52 weeks and 52 cards, my brain hadn't connected those two items together, that they actually worked in sync like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I think that's one of the beautiful things about this
Yeah,
game.
I like it.
Start a project. Luke, can you tell us about starting a project?
Yes. Yes, I can. The final action type is Start a Project. You choose a situation and declare what the community will do to resolve it. There is no consultation about this idea. The community simply begins work. Some example projects. We're converting the mine shaft into a cold food storage. We're killing those wolves. We're going to sacrifice a newborn on the night of the full moon to appease the windwalkers. As a group, quickly decide how many weeks the project would reasonably take to complete, minimum 1 and maximum 6. Remember that you are a small community. It isn't easy or quick to build a house or repair a water wheel. Do you have the necessary tools and expertise to do this? Be generous with your assumptions, but do remember that scarcity and difficulty are the norm. If a project would reasonably take longer than 6 weeks to complete, it will need to be completed in stages. Place a die on the map wherever the project is taking place, with the die face matching the number of weeks it will take to complete.
I think one of the important things to note with that is while we as a group get to decide how many weeks it's going to take, we don't get to debate whether or not that project happens. That is decided by the person. Updating resources. Emily, can you read that for me?
Yep.
Updating resources and balancing the actions.
Oh, I can't see that.
Oh,
Section-
we don't have
I
that.
don't see that.
You don't
Yeah.
have that.
M is missing. It skips straight onto contempt.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it just goes straight to contempt.
Well, you
Yeah,
don't even...
so L at
Oh, that's interesting because it's the only one in here that is not in all players' journals. How's that, Em?
There we go.
Yep, I can see it now. Yeah, okay. Cool. Updating resources. At the start of the game, we'll have 1 resource in abundance and at least that many in scarcity. These lists serve as guides for interpreting the health of the community. Throughout play, we'll update these lists to reflect changes in our circumstances whenever we feel that it is appropriate to do so. Maybe the completion of a project alleviates a scarcity or creates an abundance. Some weekly cards will alter these lists as well. Balancing the actions. Discover something new lets us introduce new situations and dilemmas into the game. Hold a discussion lets us all talk about the state of the map and the community. Start a project lets us solve our problems and grow. By respecting this division of purpose, we make sure each week involves making important decisions. It is important that we respect the purpose and balance of the 3 types of action. We shouldn't use discover something new to skirt our problems by conveniently encountering the very supplies we lacked. We shouldn't hold a discussion about situations we haven't even mentioned or introduced yet.
Cool. All right. I'm going to talk about contempt. If ever you feel like you weren't consulted or honored in the decision-making process, you can take a piece of contempt and place it in front of you. So we've got those contempt tokens in the top right-hand corner. You can put it under your name. This is your outlet for expressing disagreement or tension. If someone starts a project that you don't agree with, you don't get to voice your objection or speak out of turn. You are instead invited to take a piece of contempt. Contempt would generally remain in front of players until the end of the game. It will act as a reminder of past contentions. Its primary role is as a social signifier. In addition, you can discard it back into the center of the table in 2 ways: by acting selfishly and by diffusing tensions. If you ever want to act selfishly to the known detriment of the community, you can discard a contempt token to justify your behavior. You decide whether your behavior requires justification. This will often trigger others taking contempt tokens in response. If someone else does something that you greatly support that would mend relationships and rebuild trust, you can discard a contempt token to demonstrate how they have diffused past tensions. Todd, do you want to tell us about restraint?
I guess. Restraint. In playing the Quiet Year, we must refrain from freewheeling discussion about what to do next. There are specific mechanics in the game for discussing community issues and demonstrating our displeasure. When we play, we won't speak out of turn or attempt to circumnavigate these mechanics. These rules work to demonstrate how difficult it is to engage the entire community in conversation and how tensions and disagreements tend to linger across weeks or even months. We must also be careful to avoid character narrative. In the Quiet Year, characters will likely emerge who we identify with. They'll have names that we tied into interesting situations on the map. The game will falter, however, if we try and use these mechanics to tell a story about any one of these individuals. As much as possible, we should keep the focus of the game on the community's wants and needs and the ways that decisions get made about them. We should use named characters for the larger bird's eye view and not the other way around.
Cool. And the last one is pacing. Who wants to take it?
Yeah, I can do it.
Cool.
Pacing. Alright. Cool. Pacing. At the beginning of the game, we'll only have a basic sketch of the landscape. From this humble place, a rich tapestry will emerge. How and at what pace? The cards of spring will ask us a lot of questions, which will establish more about the landscape and the inner workings of our community. We should use spring to become familiar with the mechanics and the structure of the game. There won't necessarily be a lot of tension or conflict during spring, and this is fine. In summer, larger threats and greater progress will both emerge. We'll begin to define our community through our actions, and some seeds of discontent will likely be sown. In autumn, danger and failure become more visible and serious. This will be the most trying season. In winter, the community will continue its work and preparations, and as players, we will contend with the dramatic irony of knowing that the frost shepherds could arrive at any moment. If ever the map feels lacking or the community seems to have domesticated the world around it, we should introduce new dilemmas. What happens when a child murders his mother? What happens when someone screws up and it costs us food supply? You're ready to start now. Play to find out what happens. That's what it says right there.
Cool. All right. So, my one question is: do we want to take a quick 5-minute break to get a cup of tea before we dive into actually drawing cards?
Sure.
Yes.
All
Seems
right.
like a good spot.
Let's do that.
I could use a break to eat some actual dinner. That would be good.
You should do
yes.
that. All right.
Smart.
Okay, we'll be back in. We'll aim for 5, max 10. All right.
Okay.